met Linda Evangelista. She was my idol.
It's 2016. A woman sits alone in her Manhattan apartment, curtains drawn. She hasn't left the house in months. Her body, once insured for millions, is now something she can't bear to look at. The same face that launched 1,000 campaigns now avoids every mirror. This is Linda Evangelista, and she's hiding from the world that once worshipped her. She made $10,000 a day. She graced over 700 magazine covers. She could transform into anyone designers wanted. Blonde bombshell one day, androgynous punk the next. Linda Evangelista wasn't just a supermodel. She was the supermodel, the chameleon who changed fashion forever. But here's what no one talks about. The girl who could become anyone completely lost herself in the process. How did fashion's most powerful woman end up a prisoner in her own home? How did the model who famously wouldn't wake up for less than $10,000 become someone too ashamed to even step outside? Let's rewind to 1965. St. Catharines, Ontario. Not exactly the fashion capital of the world. Linda Mallory Evangelista is born to Italian immigrant parents. Dad works at General Motors. Mom keeps the books. Blue-collar, Catholic. The kind of family where modeling isn't even on the radar. But little Linda, she's different. At 12 years old, while other kids are playing outside, she's taking etiquette classes at the local modeling school. Not because she thinks she's beautiful, quite the opposite. She's trying to fix what she sees as wrong. Here's the thing about Linda that breaks my heart. She never thought she was pretty. Can you imagine? This woman who would literally define beauty for a generation started out thinking she wasn't enough. She was insecure about her skinny legs. When photographers complimented them later, she thought they were mocking her. I assumed he was making fun of me, she'd later admit about early photo shoots. The same legs that would grace Versace campaigns, that would be photographed by the greatest artists of our time. She thought they were ugly. That insecurity, it never really left. It just learned to hide behind designer clothes and perfect lighting. Fast forward to her teens. Linda enters the Miss Teen Niagara pageant. She doesn't even place. Not first, not second, not third. She loses. Of course she does. This isn't a Disney movie where the awkward girl suddenly wins the crown. But sometimes losing is winning in disguise. An elite model management scout is watching. They don't care about the pageant. They see something else, something special, and just like that, the girl who thought she wasn't pretty enough gets offered a modeling contract. She's about to enter a world that will worship her beauty while slowly convincing her she's never beautiful enough. But first, she has to survive it. Okay, so imagine you're 16. You've just signed with one of the biggest modeling agencies in the world. You're shipped off to Japan for your first big job. Exciting, right? You're thinking this is it, the beginning of everything. Wrong. Linda shows up to the shoot, and suddenly the client tells her she'll be doing nudes. No warning, no agreement. Just, you will do nudes. She's 16, in a foreign country, alone. No cell phones back then, no easy way to call for help. What does Linda do? She runs, literally flees the shoot, finds a phone, calls her mom crying, and gets on the next flight home. And then, she quits modeling entirely. For 2 whole years. This is what I love about Linda's story. It's not linear. It's not some smooth rise to the top. She tried, she got scared, she quit. Like a normal person would. Like any teenage girl in a terrifying situation should. Those 2 years away? We don't talk about them much. Linda went back to being a regular Canadian teenager, finished high school, tried to forget about modeling. But something kept pulling her back. Maybe it was unfinished business. Maybe it was the promise of financial security for her working-class family. Maybe she just wasn't ready to give up on the dream, even after the nightmare. At 18, she decides to try again. This time, she's older, wiser, ready to set boundaries. She moves to New York first, but it's not clicking. I wasn't working very much in New York, she'd later admit. I would always have to deal with editors that weren't used to seeing a girl like me. So she does what would become her signature move. She transforms, packs up and moves to Paris. And Paris? Paris changes everything. She signs with Elite Paris, whose boss is this powerful agent named Gerald Marie. He's 37, successful, connected to everyone who matters. He pursues her relentlessly. She's 22, still finding her footing in a foreign country, and here's this man who can make or break careers paying attention to her. They marry in 1987. Now, she's not just a model, she's married to one of the most influential men in the industry. You'd think this would be her fairy tale moment, right? The struggling model marries the powerful agent. Except fairy tales don't include sleeping with an eye pencil under your pillow because you're terrified your husband will see you without makeup. They don't include bruises hidden under designer clothes. They don't include the kind of control that makes you negotiate your freedom with, "He let me out as long as he got everything." "He knew not to touch my face," she'd say decades later. Think about that. He knew not to touch the moneymaker, the face that would sell magazines. Even in violence, it was calculated, professional. But Linda doesn't know this is abuse yet. She thinks this is what love looks like when you're not pretty enough. She thinks she's lucky he chose her at all. 1988, the year everything changes. Linda's been modeling for a few years now, doing okay, but nothing spectacular. She's beautiful, sure, but it's the era of big hair and bigger personalities. She's getting work, but she's not special. Not yet. Then, photographer Peter Lindbergh has an idea. A crazy idea. Cut your hair. Not just a trim. We're talking chopping off her long, safe, commercial hair into a short, boyish crop. Her agency freaks out. Her husband is furious. Some clients drop her immediately. For a hot minute, it looks like career suicide.
When I first cut my hair off and I went to Milano to do the shows, I was booked for like 20 shows. About 15 of them canceled me because they didn't understand the haircut at first.
But Lindbergh sees something no one else does. He sees that Linda's beauty isn't in fitting the mold, it's in breaking it. The photos from that shoot are revolutionary, strong, architectural, completely unlike anything else in fashion. The reaction is instant. The pictures hit the magazines, and suddenly everyone wants the girl with the short hair. The look, dubbed the Linda, becomes the haircut of the decade. Women across the world march into salons, clutching magazine tiers, demanding Linda's cut. And Linda? She realizes something powerful. Transformation is currency. Over the next 5 years, she changes her hair 17 times. 17! Red bob for Italian Vogue, platinum blonde for Versace, jet black pixie for Chanel. She shaves her eyebrows for a shoot with photographer Kevin Aucoin, grows them back, bleaches them. She becomes whoever the photographer needs, whoever the designer dreams. Karl Lagerfeld becomes obsessed. He once kept her up all night, just trying on clothes for fun, taking Polaroids until dawn. There is not another model in the world as professional as she is, he declares. Professional. That's what they called it when you erased yourself to become their fantasy. They start calling her the chameleon. Versace makes her his muse. She opens and closes his shows, sometimes changing looks mid-runway. She's not just modeling clothes anymore, she's creating characters. A new person for every shoot, every show, every season. Linda Evangelista isn't just a model anymore, she's a phenomenon. October 1990. Linda's sitting with journalist Jonathan Van Meter for a Vogue interview. She's with Christy Turlington and Naomi Campbell, the Trinity as they're called. The most powerful models in the world, just chatting, laughing, being 20-something millionaires in Manhattan. The conversation turns to money, to their worth, to how the industry still wants to pay them like clothes hangers when they're selling millions in magazines and makeup. And then Linda says it. The quote that will follow her for the rest of her life. "We don't wake up for less than $10,000 a day." She's joking. Sort of. It's that kind of half joke where you're being funny, but also, you're not? The other girls laugh. Christy probably rolls her eyes. Naomi definitely gets it. The journalist scribbles it down, and fashion history is made. But here's what kills me. Linda meant it as a power move. These girls were redefining what models could be, not just hangers for clothes, but brands, personalities, forces. They deserved to be paid like the superstars they were. Men in every other industry bragged about their rates. Why couldn't she? Instead, the quote becomes fashion's "let them eat cake." Suddenly, Linda's not just successful, she's greedy, entitled, a diva. The same industry that was paying her those rates now uses her own words against her. Meanwhile, Linda's working constantly. And I mean constantly. By 25, she's been on 60 magazine covers. She's shooting with Stephen Meisel. They develop an almost telepathic, creative relationship. He puts mirrors on set so she can see herself transform in real time. She'll shoot with him over 25 years, creating some of fashion's most iconic images. She's doing 5 shows a day during Fashion Week, flying Concorde between New York and Paris, shooting all night, walking runways all day. The $10,000, she's earning it. But numbers don't tell the real story. Because while Linda's counting covers and cashing checks, she's also counting the days in her abusive marriage. While she's making history, she's hiding bruises. While the world sees her as untouchable, she can't even touch her own sense of self anymore. You know what's crazy about the supermodel era? From the outside, it looked like these women had everything. Power, money, beauty, control. Linda, Naomi, and Christy, the Trinity, were untouchable. Gods in designer clothing. They'd show up to shoots together, negotiate together, refuse to work unless they were all booked together. It was revolutionary. Models having each other's backs, creating a sisterhood in an industry designed to pit women against each other. But gods don't go home to abusive husbands. Gods don't cry themselves to sleep. Gods don't lose babies. Let's talk about 1993. Linda finally escapes her marriage to Gerald Marie. The divorce is brutal. He let me out as long as he got everything, she'd revealed decades later. 5 years of control, of violence, of sleeping with makeup tools under her pillow. Over. She's free. Sort of. Because here's what happens when you leave an abusive relationship in the public eye. Everyone has opinions. The press speculates. Did the supermodel get too big for her agent husband? Was she difficult? What did she do wrong? She rebounds with Kyle MacLachlan. Yes, Twin Peaks Kyle MacLachlan. They meet on a photo shoot. He's gentle, normal, nothing like Gerald. They get engaged. For a minute, it seems like maybe she's found something real. Then comes Fabien Barthez, French soccer star, goalkeeper. By all accounts, a good guy. They're the IT couple of Paris. Fashion meets sports, beauty meets athleticism. Linda, now in her 30s, thinks maybe this is it. Maybe she's finally ready. 1999, she's 6 months pregnant, planning a future, nursery ideas, names, the whole thing. She loses the baby. I need you to sit with that for a second. This woman, who the world sees as having everything, loses a child. The relationship crumbles under the weight of grief. She's 34 years old, at the height of her career, and privately devastated. The fashion world keeps spinning. She keeps working. But something's different now. The transformations feel heavier, the constant change more exhausting. She's approaching 40 in an industry that worships youth. The very thing that made her famous, her ability to become anyone, starts feeling like a curse. 2005. Brief affair with François-Henri Pinault. Yes, the billionaire who'd later marry Salma Hayek. It's nothing serious, just 2 people meeting at the wrong time. But it results in something extraordinary. Her son, Augustine. 2006. She gives birth at 41, keeps the father's identity secret, just her and her baby. Something that's finally, truly hers. No transformation required, just Linda being a mom. For 5 years, it works. She scales back the modeling, focuses on Augustine, finds a version of peace she didn't know existed, until 2011 when she has to take Pinault to court for child support. The media goes insane. $46,000 a month, the headlines scream. They paint her as gold-digging, greedy. There's that diva narrative again. The truth? The money was for security in New York City, for nannies when she traveled for work, for maintaining a lifestyle consistent with the billionaire father's other children. But nuance doesn't sell papers. The girl who wouldn't wake up for less than $10,000 now can't escape that image, even when she's just trying to be a mom. 2015, Linda's 50 years old. Still beautiful, still working, but the industry has changed. It's not the supermodel era anymore. It's Instagram models and influencers and a whole new game. The transformations that used to be her superpower now feel exhausting. She notices some stubborn fat, nothing major. Just those little pockets that come with age, with being human. After decades of having her body scrutinized, measured, photographed from every angle, these small imperfections feel enormous. She hears about this procedure, cool sculpting, non-invasive, FDA approved, freeze the fat away. Celebrities swear by it. Her dermatologist recommends it. What could go wrong? Everything. The first treatment seems fine, but within 3 months, Linda notices something's off. The areas that were supposed to shrink, they're growing, getting harder, larger. She goes back to the doctors. They suggest doing it again. Sometimes it takes multiple treatments, they say. It gets worse. By 2016, the bulges are unmistakable. Hard, painful masses where the paddles touched her skin. She can't wear fitted clothes, can't sit certain ways. Her body, once her instrument, her career, her identity, now unrecognizable. Diagnosis: paradoxical adipose, hyperplasia, PAH, a rare side effect where fat cells expand instead of shrink. The opposite of what was promised. The company's fine print mentions it affects less than 1% of patients. Linda is that less than 1%. Brutally disfigured. That's how she describes herself. Linda Evangelista, who spent decades transforming for everyone else, is now transformed against her will. And this time, she can't change back. She tries everything. 2 full-body liposuctions. The first in June 2016, the second in July 2017. If you've never had liposuction, let me paint you a picture. They literally vacuum fat from your body. It's violent, painful. You wear compression garments for weeks. You can't move properly. You're bruised, swollen, leaking fluids. She does it twice. It doesn't work. I loved food, she'd later say. But I stopped eating. I thought I was losing my mind. The woman who commanded $10,000 a day now can't even look at herself. She develops what she calls self-loathing so intense. She becomes reclusive, cancels jobs, stops returning calls. For 5 years, Linda Evangelista vanishes. The woman who was photographed more than almost anyone in history becomes invisible. She hides in her apartment, avoids old friends. If she must go out, it's in oversized clothes, scarves, hats, anything to hide. Meanwhile, Linda's fighting another battle no one knows about, 2018. During a routine mammogram, they find cancer, breast cancer, aggressive. She needs a double mastectomy. She tells no one outside her closest circle, has the surgery, thinks she's beaten it, goes back to hiding. 2022, the cancer returns, this time in her chest wall. More surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, all while the world thinks she's just another aging model who can't accept getting older. September 2021. Something shifts in Linda. Maybe it's the cancer. Maybe it's turning 56. Maybe she's just tired of hiding. She does something no one expects. She goes public, not with a glossy magazine spread or a carefully managed comeback, with an Instagram post. Raw, honest, devastating. To my followers who have wondered why I have not been working while my peers' careers have been thriving, the reason is that I was brutally disfigured by Zeltick's cool sculpting procedure, which did the opposite of what it promised. She continues, PA has not only destroyed my livelihood, it has sent me into a cycle of deep depression, profound sadness, and the lowest depths of self-loathing. In the process, I have become a recluse. She files a $50 million lawsuit, not for the money. What's money when you've hidden for 5 years? For the truth, for accountability, for other women who might fall into the same trap. Designers who dressed her decades ago reach out. Photographers who'd shot her send messages. The public, cruel in her absence, transforms into supporters. The comments sections, usually cesspools of judgment, fill with love. But the most powerful response comes from inside Linda herself. After decades of being whoever everyone else needed, she finally decides to be exactly who she is. Disfigured? Yes. Scared? Absolutely. But done hiding. February 2022. People magazine wants to do a story. Linda agrees, but with conditions. She'll show her body, the real body, the PAH body, no hiding. The photos are shocking in their honesty. This is not the Linda of Versace campaigns. This is a woman bearing witness to her own pain. I can't live like this anymore in hiding and shame, she tells them. July 2022. The lawsuit settles. Terms undisclosed. Linda doesn't care about the specifics anymore. She's already won what matters, her voice back. September 2022. Two things happen that complete her resurrection. First, Kim Jones at Fendi calls. Would she consider doing their show? Not hidden, not retouched to perfection. As she is, in a specially designed gown that works with her body, not against it. The show arrives. Linda walks out in a dramatic cape and gown, covered but confident. The front row, fashion's most jaded critics, people who've seen everything, rise to their feet. The applause is thunderous. Not because she looks like the Linda of 1990, because she looks like a survivor. Second, British Vogue puts her on the cover. Stephen Meisel shoots it, her old collaborator, the one who knows all her angles, all her transformations. But this time, they're creating something new, something honest. She's candid about the process. That's not my jaw or my neck in real life, she admits about the retouching. The clothes are taped and pinned to fit her changed body. I'm not going to lie and say I love my body now. But she's there, visible, real. 2023. The Apple TV Plus documentary, The Supermodels, airs. Linda sits with Naomi, Cindy, and Christy, older, wiser, still bonded by their shared history. She drops another bomb, the abuse in her first marriage. After 30 years of silence, she names it, claims it, releases it. It was the most painful time of my life, she says of her marriage to Gerald Marie. He knew not to touch my face. He knew I was the moneymaker. Gerald Marie denies everything through his lawyers. Of course he does. But Linda's not that scared 22-year-old anymore. She's said her truth. That's all she needed. But her greatest transformation? Learning to show her real face, disfigured, aging, imperfect, and finally free. But in the end, she found something worth more than all those magazine covers combined. She found the courage to be human, and honestly, that's the most beautiful transformation of all.